doing the Nate Jones story on YouTube. Y'all stay tuned for exclusive videos and exclusive giveaways. Y'all doing the Nate Jones story on YouTube right now.
Only true dogs fucking me and Big Nate. Shoot him in the greens, toss his body in that big lake.
Story yourself, do you think this fight resembles Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard in the 80s? The fact that Canelo and Terence Crawford are the two great pound-for-pound legends, both first ballot Hall of Famers in the future, and Terence is going for his third undisputed. Canelo defended his second undisputed. Do you think it's a resemblance of Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler?
I will start with Crawford. Crawford coming to this fight, two-time undisputed champion, with the O in his record of losing. He dreamed to be the third time the undisputed champion. Second, it is Canelo. Canelo who's fighting everyone. If you see the brilliant CV of Canelo in the last 20 years, he's in the ring. He fight everyone. And I don't think Canelo will give Crawford chance to beat him, especially if Crawford go 2 weight up. It will be something Canelo doesn't want it in his record. This will be one of the best fight in the last at least 10 years. And I need to mention why we choose Netflix. Netflix is the big platform. Second, if you ask about the numbers of the subscriber and the pay-per-view, let's see the record. In that time, in 2015, 2013, the internet and the piracy was not like now. Now is the best options to go with the big platform, and I think this fight we will have the big record around the world, and we will show the world what is real boxing. Especially Netflix, we will show them what is the real boxing.
All right, and the final media question right over here.
Question to His Excellency. You said earlier about the fact that you had both Canelo and Crawford round for a dinner last night. Can you talk to us a little bit about the reason behind that, what was discussed, and whether any future plans are in the works? Because I know you're constantly trying to tick off new venues and break new records. What could be next after this fight?
This is from our traditional way in Saudi Arabia, to have our guests in our home and to see them together. And in the last 3 years, you've been here in the kingdom a lot. We deal with our people who's coming here as a guest, like a king. They came here like a king, and we deal with them with respect, and we talk about the future. You know what we have with Canelo for the next 2 years, and we will try to extend this relationship. It will not be only in boxing. And my relationship with Crawford, we have a lot of plan in the future. We talked yesterday, and they are professional, but I think starting from last night, they know what they need to do. Thank you so much, and I will make the legend continue. Thank you.
Okay, now let's hear from the fighters, and I'll start first with the undisputed super middleweight champion. Canelo, welcome back to Riyadh. Of course, the last time we saw you here fighting under the here in the kingdom under the Riyadh banner, you fought William Skull. What were your impressions of that fight night and that fight itself?
You mean William Skull?
Yes, that fight, the whole event.
You think that was a fight? No, I don't think so. That's a deception for me, because I come to fight, but you need to have both fighters think the same, right? And a little deceptional, but we win. That's all that matters. And we are focused 100% on these fights. In this fight, because this fight is big, and for me, making history is my goal, my whole life. So I'm very excited for this fight.
And Terence, it's been a while since we saw you in action. It was last summer under the Riyadh season banner in Los Angeles. What did you think about your fight against Madrimov and fighting under the Riyadh season?
I thought my fight was a clear-cut victory. It may have not been what the fans is used to seeing, being that I was on a KO streak. So I'm cool with my performance and my victory, and I'm looking to be bigger, better in this next one.
You heard His Excellency saying no more Tom and Jerry, no more running, but you're moving up 2 weight classes. It's not going to be smart for you to stand there and hammer it out with this guy. So how do you kind of balance that, not running, but being elusive in fighting Canelo?
However I got to fight, I'm going to win. Simple as that. I'm not going to let somebody else force me or tell me how to fight when I've been fighting my whole life. You know, I won't be running. You know, I could tell you that. But I will be, you know, doing a lot of touching.
Well, you don't move up 2 weight classes to fight someone like this, and you've been calling out forever. If you don't see a path to victory, you don't see holes in his game. What areas do you think you're better than Canelo, and how do you see yourself beating?
Well, listen, I called Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. You know, the Floyd, the Pacquiao, the De La Hoya. We both came up in that era, and he was right there with those fighters, and he got the chance to fight the Miguel Cottos, the Floyd Mayweathers, and you know the Kovalevs and Triple Gs, and I wasn't able to get those mega fights. You know, so this is my mega fight. This is my moment, and that's the reason why I want to fight an all-time great like Canelo.
Hey, Canelo, you were recently asked about Terrence Crawford. You said he's good, but he's no Canelo. What can you do that Terrence cannot do?
No, don't get me wrong. He's a great fighter, like I say, he's no Canelo. Obviously, I'm been in this situation for a long time, and I have the experience. They only focus on my power, but I have more than that. And I think this fight is gonna be one of my best fights in my history, in my record, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited, motivated, because this is all about. I want to make history, and I'm very excited for this fight.
You've accepted this fight now, but in the previous years, you said it doesn't interest you because you have nothing to gain and everything to lose. If he were to beat you, how damaging would that be to the Canelo brand?
He's not gonna beat me. Don't worry about it. He's not gonna beat me. Don't worry about it. I think this fight is gonna be in the books of the history of boxing for sure. That's for sure.
For sure, them belts coming with me. They coming home with me. I'm telling you right now.
You can see it, but
it's gonna
be difficult. You take it to your home.
I'm taking them. And ain't nothing you're gonna be able to do about it come fight night.
I know Turkey's in your corner,
I promise you.
But look, it's gonna be very difficult. He's gonna be so mad that day. Believe me.
I see you. I see you. You see I'm different.
I see you too.
You see I'm different than all the other ones.
No, I see you. No, you don't know different. You're nothing different.
I'm different.
Nothing different.
I'm different.
We'll see.
You're gonna see.
We'll
you know
see.
it.
We'll see.
We're gonna see.
Terrence, how did you think he did against William Skull?
No comment. He won. We on to the next. It's me and him.
Some people said he should have done a better job cutting the ring off. It was the fewest punches ever landed. Did you see it that way?
Listen, I'm not here to talk about his past fights. I'm here to talk about his present fight, and that's him versus me, and that's what I'm here to talk about. Me versus him, not him versus any other of his previous opponents.
Do you expect him to run like a lot of people?
I hope not.
You don't think so?
I hope not, because I think people deserve a good fight, and that's why we are here, right? To make a good fight, and the best fighter win. And I expect he put a great fight.
You've heard the critics, I'm sure. This fight at one point I think was 5-1 odds for you. Now it's tightened up to under 2-1 odds. Your recent performances, do you think you've fought to your level of expectations? Are you pleased with the way you've fought your last couple fights?
Yeah, I do what I supposed to do in my fights. You know, I'm not focused. I'm never focused about if I'm the favor or not. I've been in both sides. I always focus on how I train and how I prepare myself, and that's it. I know my abilities, and I'm confident about that.
This fight is in Las Vegas. Obviously, there's going to be a huge Mexican crowd there for him. How confident are you that the judges will give you a fair shake after the end of the 12 rounds?
Listen, I can't focus on the judges. I just got to focus on doing what I can do and controlling what I can control inside the ring. And that's, going out there and winning the fight decisively.
You're bulked up now. You're bigger than ever. Do you feel stronger? Do you feel like you can knock Canelo out?
Man, listen, like I said before, any fighter can be knocked out. Canelo got a granite chin. He's tough. He's durable. We've seen him hurt a couple of times, but not to the point where, it's not respected. But given the right circumstances, anybody can get knocked out.
Do you expect this when the fight's over to be a razor close fight, or are we going to say, wow, Terrence beat him convincingly?
Listen, I'm always going to rise in the big occasions. I always did my whole career. This is my moment, and I'm not letting Canelo take it away from me. Simple as that.
And Canelo, you've been the smaller fighter in a lot of your fights. Do you feel like you can bully this guy around since he's coming up 14 pounds?
I've been in his position before, and I'm not thinking about that. I'm just gonna do my job and take everything serious, and not thinking about if smaller or bigger. I always prepare myself for the best fighter out there.
This fight is on a massive platform. This could be the biggest audience that's ever watched one of your fights. Is it good enough for you on Netflix just to beat Terrence, or do you have to put on a show?
I'm a winner. I always thinking about the win, and I'm coming to win. And Netflix or not, I always coming to win. My mindset is different, and I'm very thankful with Netflix, with Turki Al-Ashi, with all the guys involved in this fight, because for me, it's all about make history, and I'm glad to be here.
Who would you say is the toughest opponent you've ever faced, and where would you rank Terrence?
No, he's one of the top fighters I'm gonna face in my career for sure. He's a great fighter, but I have many great fights in my career.
And when you visualize how this fight's going to play out, what are we going to be saying about you and about this fight when it's all said and done?
I don't really know, because you expect something, and then other things come in the fight. But I'm gonna prepare myself for everything. And
Terrence, I know you guys were on Pierce Morgan recently and talked about what would happen if this was a street fight. I know you have a wrestling background. If this fight took place in Omaha on the streets, you and Canelo, what would it look like?
Come on, man. I know what I do. I ain't got to talk about it on the streets. I'm me against anybody. I ain't never gonna say another man gonna whoop me.
That's right.
That's your answer right there.
That's
I
right.
guess in Guadalajara, you think it'd be a little different on the streets if Terrence came to town?
I think every city, every place is different. No, it's different. But we don't talking about the streets. We're talking about boxing, the beautiful sport of boxing. So that's different, way different than the streets.
And a lot of people are watching right now. What's your message to your fans as we prepare for this fight on September 13th? Why should they tune in and watch this battle?
They know I always come to fight. I always come with my best. And I just thankful with them for all the support. And I hope them will be there watching or in the arena, cheering for me and enjoy the win.
And Terrence, the same question for you. I guess a lot of people will be showing up from Omaha and Las Vegas for that weekend. What's your message to your fans as you take on the biggest challenge of your career?
Listen, I just tell them, suit up. We're about to bring some more jewelry home, and it's going to be an exciting day for boxing. History will be made. Terrence Crawford will be the first male boxer, three-weight undisputed champion of the world. And I mean that.
He has a lot to lose in this fight, but you, in this day and era of boxing, that O is so important. Why are you risking all of that to chase Canelo Alvarez, that perfect record, that amazing resume you have?
Big risk, big reward.
That's right.
I'm a risk taker.
That's right.
And I ain't scared.
Any
That's
chance you
right.
beat Canelo and ride off into the sunset? Is this the way it ends?
I ain't even thinking about that right now. My focus is, September 13th.
That's
You're
right.
still in your prime.
Still ready.
All right. And now we'd like to welcome to the stage from the Ring Magazine. Please welcome Rick Reno, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, you're not going to see Terrence Crawford intimidated by Canelo. Okay, Canelo has been in this a lot of times, so a lot of people feel that he can't be intimidated by Terrence Crawford. They would be wrong. He has a lot to lose. You're going to lose to a smaller guy that's coming up like 2-3 weight classes and saying that he could beat you in doing so. That makes it even more, I wouldn't say disrespectful, but it just makes it more looking like, wow, maybe Canelo wasn't that great, even though he is great. It's just that when you're so good in your skills, you can make someone look like they don't even belong. Like Errol Spence, you guys had Errol Spence as one of the best fighters in the world. After this fight with Terrence Crawford, y'all treated him like he was a trash can. Styles make fights and skills pay the bills. It's always been that way. Some guys have more will. Some people have more fight. Now, a lot of people love Shakur Stevenson. We love Shakur Stevenson. Great fighter. But has he had any of the fights that Devin Haney has had at that level? No. Teofimo Lopez, has he had those fights? He's the only one that's there next to Devin. Canelo's bigger in mass. Now, can Bud be able to take what Canelo dishes out is going to dictate the fight. He didn't respond so well at 54 when he was getting hit. And I think that's what made Canelo feel comfortable in taking the fight. Because before he didn't want it. Then he saw his fight at 54. Then he felt like, oh, I could get him. My power. I hit harder than that guy. So I'll be able to disturb him with my power. Some guys, you can hurt them. You're not the strongest guy all the time. But you find ways to win no matter what. Now, when you see this play out, you'll start to see when it really hits. Oh, yeah, definitely. I see Canelo's, what he's very deceptive is setting up his shots with subtle feints. And he's got a quickness that you don't see. From waist to up top, he's quick. His feet are slow, but from waist all the way up, from torso, he's got good, quick twitch muscles. Not usually common in Latino fighters. Not usually common. Now let's move to New York.
1 victories, 31 big wins by knockout. He is the only fighter in boxing history during the 4-belt era to become undisputed champion in 2 different divisions. He's the former lightweight world champion, former undisputed super lightweight world champion, former undisputed welterweight champion, and now the current super welterweight champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, ranked by many as pound for pound the best fighter in the world today, he is the undefeated 4-time 4-division champion of the world, Terrence Bud Crawford. Crawford! There he is.
Oh, he's not Charlo. That's not Charlo.
Four-time champion. And on September 13th in Las Vegas, his opponent will come to the ring as a man recognized for a decade as being pound for pound among the best in the world. His professional record, 67 fights, 63 victories, 39 big wins by knockout, 2 defeats, 2 draws. He's the former middleweight world champion, former light heavyweight world champion, former super welterweight world champion, and now the reigning and defending undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, damas y caballeros de Jalisco, México, Saúl Canelo Alvarez. What's up, bud? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring 2 gentlemen up to the stage at this time. First of all, the managing director of SELA, please welcome Dr. Rakan. And with the doctor, a pleasure to introduce the chairman of the General Entertainment Authority and the Saudi Boxing Federation, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. Ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome His Excellency here, I'd like to add something that fight fans really appreciate. Over the last year and a half, and we all realize one of the great things in the world of boxing is to have an undisputed world champion. And His Excellency has spearheaded 6 world championship fights for the undisputed title, including this one coming up over the past year and a half. It's a fight fan's dream. Thank you very much, Excellency.
Hello, everyone. In the beginning, I want to thank the Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, to the support of the Saudi Boxing Federation and Gia and Riyadh season. I want to thank my partner, Dr. Rakan from SELA. I want to thank the 2 legends, Crawford and Canelo. Finally, it's happened. And we are happy because you are happy. And now in Netflix, because of one man who's convinced me to do something like this, we have him here. Please welcome Mr. Nick Khan from TKO WWE. I have now my brother behind the stage. He will come and continue this conference. I want to thank Bella from Netflix. I give her a tough time. She must understand I am with her and I support her. Sorry to delay this conference from the 16th of May until now for technical issue, but she must understand I do this deal for her and for Nick Khan. We have at the table two big, I don't hear you, but I will continue. Two big platform with big contracts, but we prefer Netflix because the Netflix is the biggest platform in the world. I am sure this is the beginning of relationship, big relationship, and I promise you to deliver more and more big fights in the future. And I need you to understand, we have at the table the most expensive boxing contract ever happened before. I will not allow the numbers, but I will leave it to the legend and the fighters. And now I will give the flag of the conference to my brother and dear friend, Dana White.
What's up, New York? Thanks for coming out today. We appreciate it. All right, let's get this started. Who's got the first question?
Why do we need you?
Who's got the first question? Go ahead.
Canelo, Jay Martinez with Fight Hub TV. This would be a question for Canelo and Crawford. Canelo, always a big question. Why Crawford? Obviously, there's always more. There's other fights that people want for you. So why Crawford? You know, you mentioned before that Crawford wasn't your radar. The question for you, Crawford, would be: obviously, there's a bonus now for a knockout. Are you going to be looking for that bonus? If so, in what style?
Crawford, you know, he's one of the great fighters in the last years. Obviously, he's a great fighter. That's why champion. And my brother Turki Alashi asking so much for this fight, so we are here, and I think it's a good fight for the fans.
I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm hunting him. That's it. I'm hunting everything that he got, and I'm gonna take it come September 13th.
For Canelo Alvarez. Canelo, your coach, Eddie Reynoso, he's one of the best ever to do it. What's the biggest thing you've learned from Coach Eddie?
Can you ask again, please?
Coach Eddie Reynoso is one of the best coaches to ever do it. What have you learned from him in preparation for this fight?
Oh, I learned everything. Eddie is one of the best. He's the best trainer in the world, and he have everything. He always try to learn something new, and you know, we're gonna prepare ourselves just especially for Crawford. We know he's a great fighter, but we're ready. We're ready to do it.
And question for Terrence Crawford. You and Canelo are some of the best boxers in the world and in this generation. If you win against Canelo, where would you rank yourself among the list of greatest of all time?
When I win, I'm gonna be at the top. Facts. When I win.
Who else? You going again? Yeah.
This was for you, Dana. Everybody's shocked, obviously, that this opportunity came really quick, obviously, with your promotions coming in with Turkey. How does it feel having these two great fighters, obviously going to be Hall of Famers, to promote this event for in September?
Yeah, obviously it's incredible. I wouldn't be where I am today without the sport of boxing. I've always loved the sport of boxing, and for this to be the first fight that I ever promote in boxing, it's incredible. It's an unbelievable experience.
Question over here for Crawford. A few days ago in Riyadh, you had said that you weren't getting those big career legacy-defining fights. How confident are you that a victory over Canelo would put you up there with those all-time greats and give you maybe that satisfaction that you think you deserve at this stage of your career?
I'm very confident. Everything's happening on God time. There's a reason why I wasn't getting those big fights, because God was preparing me for this moment right here, and this is my time.
And question for Canelo. Canelo, obviously you fought some of the all-time greats. Where would this victory stack up against some of the other ones that you've earned? And where would Terence Crawford fall within your resume? How do you feel?
Oh, I feel great. It's going to be one of my best victories in my career, obviously. He's a great fighter. He's a legend. But, it's going to be good for my books.
Go ahead, sir.
Dana, you followed boxing so closely for decades. What is it about what Turkey was doing that brought you to the table to invest so deeply your time into boxing?
What's the question?
What about what Turkey is doing? What about it that brought you so closely back into boxing?
Yeah, none of this happens without Turkey. Turkey's been able to make fights that nobody could ever make, including this one. I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime fight. This is the fight that people would have been talking about 10 years from now, wishing that it happened. It wouldn't have happened without him. And obviously the Crown Prince. It's amazing what these guys are doing.
And for Canelo, with the kind of synergy with WWE and Nick Khan, building a relationship with him, is there a chance we see some cross-promotional appearances in WWE?
We're talking about it. Maybe you will see me in the WWE some point.
Go ahead.
Ryan Shepard for Def Pen Media. My question is for Terence Crawford. But when you were here in New York leading into the Errol Spence fight, you said, I can assure you, you're going to walk away and say, Terence Crawford is special. You're going to mark me down as one of the greatest of all time. When you visualize this fight and when people walk away, what do you want them to say?
Well, I want all the people in the stands that booed me, they're going to cry when they go home.
Go ahead.
Wow. I just found out what the sign language means for cry. Dana, I'm from the UFC world. You're bringing me over to the boxing world. I appreciate everything you've done for combat sports. What does it mean? How does it feel to you to be one of the masterminds in what could be the most viewed fight in combat sports history?
Yeah. I've always had this theory that if you put on two fights, if you can get people to stay home on a Saturday night, you put on two great fights the same night. We have UFC Noche that night, and I know there's a lot of questions about this. The main events the main cards will not cross over. You'll be able to watch one right into the other. So to be a part of a historic night on Mexican Independence Day, I love it. I feel very blessed to be here. Thanks, Sheikh Turkey and both the fighters up here. It's going to be a great night, historic night of fighting.
And thank you, Turkey, and thank you, guys. Bud, one question. What can people expect on Saturday, September the 13th? You're looking beefy, you're looking brolic. What can they expect come September?
Listen, I'm all about making history. I was the first two-time undisputed champion of the world, and I can assure you I'm going to be the first three-time undisputed champion of the world.
Go ahead.
Dan Canobio with Inside Boxing Live. These questions for both fighters. We've seen some photos come out of you guys eating together, kind of joking around. The interview with Piers Morgan was very friendly. Can you explain to fans out there that it is a gentleman's sport? Is there animosity, and what could you make of some criticism? Like, oh, these guys look like they're friends.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell y'all like this. I respect Canelo, just like I respect every one of my other opponents before Canelo. But once it get close to that time, you know what I mean, it's time to go to work, you know? And when we go to work, y'all know what comes after that.
Yeah, you hear that. You know, we are professionals. And when we step in the ring, it's going to be different.
Go ahead, sir.
Canelo en español, para toda la gente que está aquí que habla español. Platícanos qué se siente y cuál va a ser lo más difícil de enfrentar a Crawford and later for Crawford. What do you feel that you need to go up 2 divisions for this fight?
Hold on before you answer. Go ahead, translate.
For all these people here from the Spanish ground, how difficult is this for the preparation and what do you expect?
No, obviamente Crawford es un gran peleador, por eso está aquí ahora como mi oponente, pero lo que sabemos hacer, entrenar al 100%, enfocarnos en Crawford y ganar y que sea un gran triunfo para México.
Obviously, Terence Crawford is a great fighter. That's the reason why he's fighting me. That's the reason why we're facing each other. But that's where we do what we got to do. What we always do is 100 go to 100%, always training, and it's going to be a great triumph for Mexico.
Go ahead. Who's next? Nobody else? Is that it? Where's Lene?
We have one more.
Good? All right.
Last question,
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're going to see. Do you know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're going to fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him, and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it. Now, guys, I'm going to ask you guys some questions, if you don't mind. But I'm going to start with you. Why are you jumping up and skipping a division? You just got to junior middleweight. You were given the best fight of your career at junior middleweight by Madrimov. Who gave you a tougher fight than Madrimov? Stop that. And now you're... Who? Someone gave you a tougher fight than Madrimov?
Listen, if y'all thought that was a tough fight, then woof.
Well, you've been beating the hell out of most guys you've ever fought. He gave you a good fight. Now you're skipping middleweight. No rehydration clause, nothing like that, to move up to fight a guy who has dominated that weight class for a decade, or weight classes for a decade. Why do it this way?
Why not? I always say, why not? You know, all the greats do things that people think that's impossible. You know, so within myself, I have the confidence, the skills. I got all the tools to beat Canelo. So why not?
Woo! Canelo, you are right now El Gran Campeón Mexico, right? Like you are the guy. Richard, good to see you. And Mexico has produced some of the greatest champions in boxing history, including Julio Cesar Chavez, Salvador Sanchez, and on and on. If you beat Terence Crawford in this fight, or is it on the line the greatest champion in the history of Mexico? Is that on the line in this fight?
You know what? I don't know. Let's see when I retire where I'm gonna be in the list. But for sure, I will beat Terence Crawford no matter what. I don't look it like I'm gonna be the greatest Mexican ever. I don't say it that. I think my numbers is gonna talk when I retire.
For someone who hasn't been during that September weekend to Vegas for a Canelo fight, why should they come out for this one?
You know, it's gonna be one of the greatest fighters ever, for sure. And that night is very special. All around this fight is special, and I think they don't wanna miss this fight.
You spent a lot of your career early on as a counterpuncher. You used to go to the ropes, and these guys, when you were a teenager, and these grown men would come at you, and you'd box the hell out of them and knock them out. But recently, the last bunch of years, guys have been running from you, and you've had to chase them. What are you prepared to do against Terence Crawford? How do you think he's going to fight you?
Everything. I don't know. I don't know what fight he's gonna make, but you know, I'm gonna prepare myself for every style he brings. I hope he brings a good style to make a good fight for the people. That's what I want. If not, I'm gonna do my best to win in every way.
You hear when he says make a good fight for the people, Terence, he's saying he hopes you don't run. And Turkey has a knockout bonus in this fight. And there seems to be something out there like the way for you to win this fight is to move, move, move. Is that true?
Listen.
Turkey, you need to put a small ring, the smaller ring in the...
Hey, Matt. Yeah. The only running that I'm going to be doing is running upside his head, and I can assure you that. Facts. And he got a big head, too.
Canelo, I mentioned Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler earlier. Hagler also fought a great lightweight champion before he fought Sugar Ray, Roberto Duran. And Duran didn't run. They fought in close for 15 rounds, and it was a close fight. Do you think he can do that? Do you think he can bring it to you?
We'll see. We need to try, right? To see what is going to happen. But for sure, it's going to be different, way different.
All right. All I can tell you is it is the perfect storm of a fight. The fights like this, I know Dana said it's once in a lifetime. Legitimately, a fight like this comes around once every decade or so. By the way, Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in 1978. 90 million people watched the fight live on ABC because back then it was broadcast in primetime by a huge platform. Nothing has come close since then. Nothing. Even if you say Mayweather-Pacquiao, they did 4 million pay-per-views, incredible. Even if 5 people per set are watching, it's 20 million people. But this platform, Netflix, they showed you not long ago with a fight that was not like this, 100 million people watch it. This will be, it's safe to say, the most watched prize fight, more eyeballs on it than any fight in almost 50 years, in almost half a century. So I would say that it is a once-in-a-lifetime fight, except Turkey, I'm sure that there will be more like it in the not too distant future. You keep making all the fights. The rematch, right. September 13th, Las Vegas, Nevada. I cannot wait for this one. By the way, live on Netflix, if you have Netflix, which everyone does, you don't have to, you know, there's nothing, it's not pay-per-view. You don't have, that's it. You got it already. 300 million plus people. And now, before we get out of here, Dana, you're going to face the fighters off.
You gonna fear me now. You won't forget me now. I got it all on me.
Yeah, we ain't trying to get copywritten. Yeah, let's go. They're going to clear the space for everyone to get on there. So who are y'all picking? September 13th to be here before you can snap your fingers. That's how quick the world moves, man. Okay, there we go. right. So what y'all thinking now? Who y'all got? Canelo broke first. You hear everybody yell, he's scared. He's scared. That's why he came back up there. Bud surprised him. This is a psychological game. He wanted to see mentally what could I do to Canelo to throw him off. So once he did that, that would just throw him completely off. So now on top of a building where it's kind of cool, they got jackets.
Talk some shit, bud.
Listen. You know, I might be the smaller fighter, you know, but Canelo can testify to this. He went up against bigger fighters and
Yeah, they got Tom Brady, Canelo. Because you know Brady's a fight fan completely. Oh, 100%. So by him being a fight fan, they got Shaq, Dana White, all of these people together.
I don't think he
40, 147, and 154. You never fought at 168. You think you have enough power to hurt the great Canelo?
Of course. I don't have to have enough power to hurt him. I just got to beat him. That's it. If he slip up, then, you know, he will get hurt.
So Canelo, Terrence is naturally the smaller fighter, quicker, more agile, but he does have a 4-inch reach advantage over you. How do you plan on dealing with this?
You know, I've been in this sport like so many years. I've had so many good fights in my career, and I had the experience to adapt myself to these kind of fighters. I fight everybody out there, every style, and I'm gonna do my job and put all my experience, all my talent there, and that's it.
And speaking of experience, he also has experience.
Yeah.
What can you do that 41 other fighters could not do?
You know, I'm different. I'm a elite fighter, so that's the difference. Big difference.
For how long have you guys, you know, obviously thinking about this fight and then fighting another great fighter like Canelo and like Bud? How long has this fight been in the making?
No, I never thinking about the fight Crawford. I never in my life, you know, because he's a low weight than me. So, but I never thinking about it. But that's the fun part of boxing. You never know what is gonna happen, right? And now we are here. And I'm glad to share the ring with one of the best fighters out there, and I'm just can't wait.
So even though you see a small fighter, when you look in his eyes, do you see a fighter that could possibly beat you?
No, never.
So,
Never.
So he will never beat you.
You know, he's obviously he's a special fighter. He's a good fighter, but that's why they are good weight classes, right? And we're gonna find out September.
Go ahead, Dana.
I've been a big fan of boxing since I was a kid. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for boxing. For this to be the first boxing match that I'm involved in promoting is an absolute honor. Two of the greatest of all time and one of the biggest fights ever in the history of the sport. So very, very proud moment for me, and I've done a lot of things in my career.
How do you see the TKO Boxing League being and evolving over time, and what you hope, you know, obviously you getting involved in boxing and this being your first fight, how do you see it evolving over time?
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of criticisms of the sport over the last 30 years. The way that I'm looking at this is I'm going to start building from the ground up, looking for young talent, up and coming guys, putting on fights sort of UFC style from the first fight of the night to the main event, stacking the card, you know, with the best talent possible, changing the live event, changing the production of the show. And, you know, Shake Turkey has a lot of things in the works already over the next 16 to 18 months. These type of fights with superstars like these guys. But I'm looking at rebuilding the sport. literally, this guy is the only guy in the history of the sport that is actually invested in it. Most of these guys just take. Shake Turkey in the last 2 years has invested more money in the sport of boxing than every promoter throughout history. So I'm looking at this thing completely different than anybody ever has.
You know, he told me something yesterday that I thought was very profound. Like he said, every event I do, I lose money, but I just love these guys and I just love the sport. So
I think
big kudos to him.
Yeah, I think for any sports fan, you want to see the best fight the best, you know, and it doesn't matter what sport it is. You know, I think that's what UFC has done such a great job. When I look at the NBA, you know, it's the great teams against the great teams. It's the great fighters against one another. And then that brings everyone's attention to it. And that's what you want to see. You want to see the best and what's been accomplished and what he's done and what Bud's done and say, all right, let's see what happens. That's the excitement of sports. People want to see greatness and they want to see greatness go against other greatness and see who wins.
But let's go to the future. How would you like this fight to end? I need it play by play. How would you like this fight to end? And after the answers, I need you to answer. How would you like this fight to end?
Well, I won't say like to. It will end with my hand rose, making history.
I like that answer, but talk some shit, bud.
Listen. You know, I might be the smaller fighter, you know, but Canelo can testify to this. He went up against bigger fighters and been victorious. You know, so all that smaller fighter and I'm the bigger fighter, that goes out the window when you got skills. You know, but Canelo, he's a tremendous fighter. He's got the skills, the experience, the power. He got everything. That's why it's so intriguing. Everybody want to know, can Terence Crawford take Canelo power? Can Terence Crawford deal with Canelo pressure? Can Terence Crawford deal with Canelo's body attack and his experience? And that's why everybody want to see it, because they know how great Terence Crawford is, but they don't know how great Terence Crawford is at 168. You know, we know what Canelo brings to the table, but nobody knows what Terence Crawford is bringing to the table at 168. And that's why the fight is going to be so intriguing. I never thought in a million years of me fighting Canelo. Never, you know, watching him as he coming up, you know, and rise, and me at a smaller weight class, you know, it was never a thought of fighting him. But as I got bigger and as, you know, the great fighters started retiring, Canelo is the last great. Terence Crawford, the last great. So why not make it a super great fight? That's why I chose Canelo.
I love you both, but you still did not answer the question. How do you see this fight ended?
I told you.
Don't say with your hands.
I'm going.
Knock out.
I'm going.
Knock him out the ring.
Listen. I never say how a fight gonna end. I never. If you watch Terence Crawford's whole career, I never came and predicted I was gonna knock somebody out or I was gonna do this. But every time I did say something, I said I was gonna win, and I'm saying that right now. I'm gonna win.
All right, Canelo. How do you see this fight ending? And let me hear your prediction. In American and in Spanish.
I'm gonna win.
Spanish first.
¿Ah?
In Spanish first.
Voy a ganar.
Voy a
ganar. Esa es la idea, ganar. That's the idea. Always in my mind doesn't exist a loss. You know, I train, I put my best, I dedicate myself to this sport, and I'm just thinking about win, to make history, and this is no deception.
You know, I'm a fan of both of you guys. Listen to what you say. You said Bud only had one big fight in his career. Do you really feel that way?
You know what? If you look at his career, don't get me wrong. Okay, he's a good fighter, a great fighter. I always say before I see him calling me out and want to fight and everything, I see before. I say before he's a great fighter. But if you look at his career, mention one elite fighter. Just mention me one elite fighter.
So Postal wasn't elite?
Who?
Victor Postal.
Who's that guy?
Oh, so he wasn't commercialized. He wasn't a great. Ricky Burns wasn't elite.
What? 40 years old champion in that moment beat Mr. Postal in my gym. I saw that.
So Ricky Burns wasn't elite?
Ricky Burns doesn't elite.
Okay.
He's not elite.
It's cool. Well,
is there a champion?
I'm going to fight another elite
There is
fighter
a champions.
good fighters, but elite fighters is different. Wait.
So I'm gonna fight an elite fighter in September.
Yeah. Okay.
Then
we
gonna see.
wanna find out.
Then we're
We're
gonna
gonna find out.
Then we're gonna
And
find
don't
out.
get me wrong, you're a great fighter.
I know I'm great.
You're a great
You ain't
fighter.
gotta
But
tell
are
me
you
I'm
gonna
great.
find out? I hope
But I'm talking about
your
elite.
uncle Turki Alashi pay you enough money because it's gonna be the last. That's
It
for
may
sure.
be. It may be. Maybe.
I hope he pay you enough.
But you know, after fighters fight me, they never the same. So I just hope your career continue.
If you look
afterwards.
my career, never same after me. They never same.
But if you had Canelo's resume, you think they would consider you an all-time great?
Canelo got a great resume. You know, I'm not gonna take it away from him. He's fought a lot of great champions, but you know, at the age that he fought him in, you know, you know, they was already on a decline, some of them, you know, and when he didn't, you know, you see what happened. You know, he fought Laura, you know, and I thought Laura beat him. You know, he fought, you know, Mayweather. You see what happened. He fought Bivol when he went up and tried to be great like I'm doing. And, you know, he came up short. You know, when he fought my boy from Texas, you know, they gave him problems. But, you know, it is what it is. I got the style. I got the skills. I got the heart. And I'm not going to sit around and, you know, play no games with Canelo, you know, because he's not going to play no games with me. And it's going to be a good fight. And I'm excited. I'm excited.
Always wanted to ask a fighter this. You know the matchup is taking place. How long do you hold that animosity? Does it, like, if it's announced in November, are you keeping that animosity in November, or do you chill out like a week, or does it start when you enter into training camp?
It's no animosity towards Canelo at all. You know, I'm a fan of Canelo. I've been watching him for a long time, you know, and for me, it's just business. But it's the competitive nature in me to like get like right now, like, you know, I'm just ready. I'm ready to go train and just prove the world wrong. You know, like I've been doing my whole career. You know, all the doubters and the naysayers and the people that think I can't accomplish what I set my sights on to do. And I don't know about Canelo, but I know come fight time, he gonna be in a fight that, you know, he wasn't gonna be expecting.
For both of you guys, where does this fight rank in your careers?
It's gonna be one of the best fights in my career for sure. Like I say, he's a good fighter. He's gonna be one of the biggest fights in my career for sure.
This is the biggest fight of my career. We all know that. It's no secret. You know, I'm fighting a Hall of Famer, one of the best Mexican fighters that come out of Mexico. You know, so the respect is there. You know, and I understand the magnitude of the fight, and I'm gonna give my all.
So with 6 months to go, like with the training, when does that really pick up and you guys really get to work? I know you got a fight before that, Canelo.
What we doing?
What about for you, bud? When's that?
Go.
Well, right now,
When's a hardcore training start?
Well, right now, I'm not training hard. I'm not even training, really. You know, I don't want to overtrain because me personally, when I go in the gym, I give my all, and I don't want to burn myself out. You know, I want to save it all for the fight. You know, so I'm just, you know, chilling, doing a little strength work here and there. But other than that, you know, my training haven't even started yet.
Yeah. What about for you, Canelo?
Training.
You're training right
All
now.
the 6 months. I have a fight in May, and then after that, I'm gonna maybe rest like a week and then start training again for September. Focus on what I'm doing right now. Obviously, I'm focused 100% on May because I need to take care about the fight first, and then to this happen, right? And then I need to take care about that fight and training, focus on my path.
But we know your chin is battle tested, but mostly at 147. How you think you're going to handle when he starts wielding those 10-ounce cinder blocks?
We don't know. That's the you know, the thing that excites everybody. We seen Terrence Crawford hurt with Gamboa. We seen Terrence Crawford stun a little bit against Mean Machine, they will say, we don't know. That's why we fight the fight. We all want to see, you know? Do I think I can take it? Yes. Have I been in the ring with bigger fighters sparring my whole life? Yes. But have I been in the ring with a Canelo type fighter? No. That's why we want to watch the fight. That's why we all want to see how great is Terrence Crawford. How great can Terrence Crawford take Canelo punch? That's what we want to see it for. That's what makes it so exciting and intriguing, because you got people on this side saying Terrence Crawford is too small. He can't take Terrence Crawford power. But then you got people on this side saying, oh, well, Canelo is going to have a problem with Terrence Crawford boxing. You know, so that's why we want to fight and make it an interesting fight.
I don't think in that way, because I'm in his position before, moving up in way, and at the end of the day, when you have skills, you don't need much power to handle that, right? And I'm in his position, and I think I know what is he's thinking, and that's the excited part, right? You want to see two fighters doing the same thing in the career, like moving up in way and try to accomplish the best, and that's why it's one of the best fights out there, Terrence Crawford, with Terrence Crawford, because we both try to be great.
And do you think fighting the 4-pound smaller king does more for your career than facing the bigger, menacing Mexican monster and David Benavidez? Do you think this fight does more for your career than fighting David Benavidez?
You can see the career of Terrence Crawford or Benavidez. Terrence Crawford is undisputed champion in 2 weight classes, many championship fights. So he bring me something to the table. He bring me something to the table for my history, and that's all about.
Obviously, all of us at this round table are considered GOATs. Dan, I'm going to start with you. What does the greatest of all time mean to you?
The greatest of all time is a person who has put in the work throughout their entire career, and pretty much everyone considers them the best to ever do it.
Canelo, what does the greatest of all time mean to you?
For me, I think the guy tried to beat himself. No, look at himself and say, I can do this, and he accomplished that. And I can do this, and he accomplished that. And he tried to do the best in everything he do. I think for me, that means the GOAT.
But
GOAT means to me is, a fighter that you can take and put in any era, any weight class, any division, and he's still gonna come out on top. A fighter that walks around in the world, respect him as a champion. The world knows of him as the best. They know. It's no question. So GOAT means what it means to me is inside and outside the ring. How do people view you? How do people respect you? How do people embrace you as a champion?
To me, the greatest of all time was always an elite, untouchable status. When I was growing up, I was just watching players, and I always wanted to be like them. And then my father told me something very interesting. He said, don't be like them, be better than them. So if you're considered the GOAT, that means you're in the elite class and elite status. And I went before you because you are definitely the greatest of all time. What does that title mean to you?
I think when you think about that, there's an aura to different people that when they perform what they're doing, whether it's boxing or basketball or football, or, when you step to the table, then everyone's worried. And whenever you've got the ball in your hands or whenever you've got the big moment happening, they all know what's going to happen too. And I think when you think about certain people, you go, yep, that's the person I want in that. And everyone to think at this level you're talking about small margins of who's a little bit better here or there. But there's certain groups of people that stand above everybody else.
So Dana, any last words you want to give to Canelo and Crawford?
I think that, obviously this is going to be one of those massive legacy fights in Las Vegas. We're talking about doing, Raider Stadium. And this thing has the potential to be not only one of the biggest fights ever in history, biggest gate, biggest pay-per-view, and one of the biggest fights of both of these guys' careers. And they've done everything. They've done it all, fought everybody. And I'm excited to be a part of it.
Tom, any last words?
Yeah, look, I've been a fan of boxing a long time, and I'm a big fan of Dana, a big fan of Shaq, and obviously Canelo and Bud and what they've done in their career. And I think from someone who's been involved in big events, there's nothing better than having the best meet the best. And then when you see these two guys, how they performed over the course of their entire career, and it's always about what the next challenge is. They don't look back and think, this is what I've accomplished in the past. They're thinking, what's ahead? And like that to me is what's most exciting about this event. It's going to be in Raider Stadium, the greatest stadium in the United States. And we're going to see two of the greatest fighters in history go at it. What more could you ask than that?
Any last words, Canelo?
No, I'm just glad to be involved in these kind of fights, always on my whole career, and this is one more for me, and I'm glad to share the ring with one of the best out there.
But the mic is yours.
Well, I'm gonna just say, I wish you luck in your May fight. Hope everything goes well, no injuries, everything goes smooth. It's gonna be an honor to share the ring with you. I'm looking forward to it. And September 13th, we're gonna make history, and it's gonna be a mega event.
Well, you heard it here, September 13th. The greatest fighters in the world competing. May the best fighter win. We'll see you there.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Shaq did a better job than most people who cover sports. Shaq did a better job than most people you've heard cover this sport. Now, my opinion on this fight is this is going to be power versus technical. I think Canelo's going to make a huge mistake and try to technically out-technician Terrence Crawford. And Terrence might have success early when Canelo goes to a high guard. This is a false sense of security. Canelo goes to a high guard to lure you in. He's testing your power. He wants to pull that out of you. And he wants to bring you closer to him so he can feint you, throw a hook up top, or hook down low to the body. Canelo wants to do is he wants to take away Crawford's ability to be active. And the less active he is, and what I mean by active, that means bouncing from angle to angle. And to do that, touching the body is making you stay pretty much still. So if you're pounding on his body, that will have a huge effect in the situation that's being laid out. Now, here's the contrast to that, because Bud Crawford is going to know Canelo is going to wait for those moments to where he could pound, and Canelo is really right-handed, and most of his power is in his right. Even though he has a lot of left hook knockouts and stuff, his power really is in his right hand. Like, he really loads up with that right. Now, what he wants to do is to pound him on his arms, where the shoulder, right underneath the shoulder, right? He wants to pound him right where the bicep meets the shoulder. That's where he's trying to hit Bud Crawford at, to make that arm so tired he can't jab. So Crawford is going to know this and fight southpaw, which takes away that right hand to the left arm of Crawford. So what he wants to do is not switch as much with Canelo, stay southpaw. Southpaw fighters have given Canelo problems. And as a southpaw, you can pretty much control Canelo with a jab. He's not accustomed to fighting a lot of southpaws. And Canelo, from the fight we've seen in May, he's trying to keep his weight low because he thinks that's going to give him speed. But what it's also doing is making him weaker. And at his age, and at both of their ages, but Terrence is more active than Canelo. Canelo is much more conservative of his punches because he loads up on shots. And he's not as active with his jab as he should be, which leads to Terrence Crawford being the leader and leading the offense in a fight. And the bigger surprise would be if Terrence Crawford power can hurt Canelo, because he won't back away from Canelo. This will be the first fighter that will probably stand toe-to-toe with you and dish it right back to you. Do I think he can knock him down? Maybe. I don't know if he knocks him down, but I know he might get his attention. But it depends on how Terrence Crawford responds to the power of Canelo Alvarez. Canelo hits like bricks, but once you get accustomed to it, you're able to take it through the fight. So we'll see how, much he's able to take it as the fight goes on. So that's my analysis of looking at it. I'll give you a prediction later, but that's the analysis of it. Looking at it from the scale of them matching up based on their opponents, how they fight, the style they fight, the strategy, what a person likes to do, what the other person don't like to do. So thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to join the Nate Jones story. Join the membership, hit the button, become a member so you can get signed memorabilia. You get a lot of different things. As Nate Jones is now working with Devin Haney, Team Haney. Devin is only going to get better from that. And you get to learn some boxing tips from Nate Jones. So you get to see some behind the scenes things that we didn't have here previously. So I want to thank y'all again for tuning in, and we're out.
What's good, y'all? It's Devin and Jim Haney. Y'all join the Nate Jones story on YouTube. Y'all stay tuned for exclusive videos and exclusive giveaways. Y'all join the Nate Jones story on YouTube right now.
Only true dogs fucking me and Big Nate. Shoot him in the greens, toss his body in that big lake.